Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. And today we are taking a look at the flagship figure of the new Earthrise toy line. And this is Leader Class Optimus Prime. He's War for Cybertron Siege Earthrise number 11. And he's the only new Leader Class toy in Earthrise. His wave mate is just a repackaging of Siege Astro Train. And because I'm not made of money, I don't have any immediate plans to pick that up, seeing as I already reviewed Siege Astro Train and paid the $50 for it. But maybe if it goes on clearance, I'll grab it and give it to my son or something after I review it. So this Optimus Prime has been a really hot topic since its reveal. When he was first revealed, he was shown to look pretty much like this, as far as paint job, with the main exception of his blue eyes being yellow to match the original G1 toys look, and also like comic appearances and stuff. The next time we saw him at a toy fair, his eyes had been changed to blue, and then his hands went from blue plastic to gray plastic, like his legs and stuff. And that got a lot of people talking online. Both about the eye color change, they either were for it or against it, I guess depending on whether they like the cartoon accuracy or the toy accuracy. But the gray hands were pretty much universally hated. And I guess it came down to a molding problem, where they just couldn't get the hands molded in blue plastic. Well, when the final stock photos of the toy came out, his hands were blue again. This time they're painted blue. So they seem to have found a way around that, and I'm happy about that. I personally did not like the gray hands. You know, if you're trying to make a toy that is like the update to the original Optimus Prime toy, you want to try to get it accurate. You know, the gray hands, it just looks off. If this were a different form of Optimus, if it wasn't meant to be just so very G1, then that's fine. I mean, the Deluxe Cyberverse toy has gray hands. And like for that, it's like, okay, well, you know, he's not exactly G1 Optimus, so it's whatever. But that's just personally how I felt about the whole thing. I mean, would I have bought him either way? Whether he had gray hands, yellow eyes, blue eyes? Of course. It's not going to affect the overall quality of the figure that much. Personally, I would have liked to have seen the yellow eyes, just to make this like really hammer home the G1 toy remake thing, but it's fine. I'm used to having blue eyes by now. It's okay. And of course, he's distinguished by actually coming with his trailer. And this is the first, you know, G1 based Optimus that had a separate trailer since, well, the original, as far as I could think of. You know, not counting G2 repaint and all that. So it's pretty exciting. You know, if you've always wanted an update to the classic toy, you finally got it. It's $50, which is a much better value than that G1 reissue, which was also $50 but didn't come with a trailer. I'm not mad, you're mad. And yeah, I mean, this thing, I've just been waiting on this guy. I've been kind of chomping at the bit to get a hold of him, so I am really excited to review him. So before I yammer on too much more, if you know my reviews, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Optimus Prime in his packaging, every side of the box, all that good stuff. We're going to open it up, look at his instructions. We'll look at his universal map piece, which I'm presuming will be even bigger than the Voyager class toys. We'll see. And then we'll get a look at Optimus Prime himself in his vehicle, robot modes, any intermediate base type modes that they're pulling off with this trailer. I'll be doing quite a few comparisons, you know, if this warrants it. And then at the end of the video, I will give my final thoughts. So Optimus comes in the big old Leader Class size box, which is the same as the Siege ones, just decorated in the Earthrise coloring and logo. And you see him front and center. He's doing kind of a weird split thing that looks odd to me, but whatever. And you see his trailer unfolded behind him. Go ahead, turn to the side, and you get this artwork, which is pretty cool. It appears to be him either on Earth or on some alien planet with the Ark in the background, and he looks like he's about to go into battle. Very stoic. And I like the coloring, the shading on this. It's very cool. I love the Earthrise art style in general. It's just got this very cool kind of sunset glow or like astral effect going on. I dig it. Go ahead, turn them around. And here you can see all the different renders for the toy. And look, they even kept the yellow eyes from the original render, so they didn't even change that. I think they should have kept this, but oh well. Maybe they'll do like a G2 repaint for selects. I think I'd be down for that. So you can see his robot mode, using part of his trailer as a shield, which also has the airlock connections. That's cool. Wielding his classic ion blaster. Shows that his chest opens and actually contains a matrix this time, unlike the Siege toy. So right on. Got his vehicle mode down here. Takes 35 steps to transform him, which is about average for a toy his size. Maybe a little on the low end. You can see the repair bay mode, kind of laid out with Optimus getting fixed by his little repair unit thing. I forget what they call this exactly. I'm sure someone will remind me. Talk about the airlock connection there. And then you got him standing up in the repair bay mode too, just to, I don't know, get a different angle on it, I guess. So overall, it's kind of exactly what you would expect for a remake of the G1 toy. And for me, that's great. I mean, if that's what it's meant to be, I think it's killing it so far. With one glaring omission, you notice there's no roller. And man, is that disappointing. Maybe it's possible we'll get roller down the line as like some sort of a weaponizer, though that might be too big. Or, you know, maybe a Micromaster roller. I wish they would have included that with this. I know they got their budget, but like, come on, man. One Micromaster roller toy would have been perfect. But it is what it is. And here, side, you get your Earthrise artwork. And here we got Optimus's instruction book, and this thing is pretty beefy. So you got this render of Optimus, and you might notice something interesting here, something we haven't seen before. That little diagnostic drone component thing from his trailer attaches to his back. And it kind of blows my mind that we haven't seen this in any of the renders. I haven't seen any pictures of it from anybody. I don't know if anyone that's reviewed this already has pointed that out or not, but my first time seeing it. Yeah. Big old thing up. We got his, oh boy, this is a little unwieldy. Got his tech specs right here. Very cool. You know, obviously they're mostly full, like this tends to be. Yeah, his very long, drawn-out transformation into his truck mode. Flip on this side. You have the transformation to make the battle platform into a trailer. And shows you how to connect the trailer, all that fun stuff. Shows you how to utilize that platform for taking care of Optimus in both an upright or lying down position. Shows you how to detach part of the ramp to become the shield. Or sorry, not there. There. Shows you how to do that. And how to detach that whole drone bit. And then you can plug them on Optimus, so that's cool. This shows off his matrix feature, where his chest can open up and the matrix is removable. And since he does have opening hands, it means he can grasp it. Here shows you how to fold up his ion blaster for storage. You can plug it onto his back in robot mode, you can plug it into the back of his cab, or if you don't like that, you could plug it to the underside of his trailer, which I didn't know that till now, so that's cool. And then we show off his airlock connectivity. In this case, we're using grapple, which works, though personally I would have chosen a better figure to show that off, because I think grapple's connect points is pointless. And then here shows you how to do the whole map thing. Now here is the map piece, and totally called it. It is bigger than even the one that comes with the Voyagers. So you get your little decoder thing, which I want to point out, this is actually located on the back of Optimus's little clear plastic clamshell thing. It's not located on the like paper sleeve that this is cut from. So be aware of that, don't accidentally throw it out. It's there, it's just behind Optimus. Anyway, so you got your lines, all that fun stuff, and then you got right here, you got Micron. So, you know, not hard to figure out, this is the planet associated with Micronus Prime, who's the progenitor of the Minicons. And I'm guessing it's this little planet here, right? Makes sense, because Micron's little. So cool, we get yet another planet, and one that doesn't see a lot of attention despite being connected to such a prominent figure. And yeah, the whole universe is just coming together little by little. And then here we have Optimus Prime in his full vehicle mode, cab and trailer. And you can see the paint on this is very nice. Got the autofocus finally working. You can see nice silver paint here on the grille, the stripe details. Got that nice, cool blue translucent plastic for the windows and the headlights. Don't know why headlights are blue, but yeah, whatever. So even got them for the windows, so that's neat. Here's that weapon storage that I'm gonna, utilize this rather than plugging it into the bottom of the trailer, because it helps fill out kind of that empty space in his cab mode. He's got flipped in. That's great. When did that happen? It's supposed to be like that. So, whoops. And yeah, he just looks pretty good. He's a little gappy, admittedly, but he pretty much nails the aesthetic. And the paint and plastic colors are really spot on. One thing that's interesting is he does seem to reuse the leg pieces, I think, from the Siege, like the main part of it. But they're kind of backwards from the Siege one. So you have this port on the outside, vice being on the inside. There's a different port molded in. It actually splits in half. He's got like the same little knee flaps. So that is interesting. And I think these panels right here, these little square ones, are the same as well. And I think that's it, as far as I can tell. We'll get a good look at him with the Siege one here in a moment. The overall, very competent cab. Rolls pretty well. The rear and front tires seem to make contact before these middle ones, so they don't reach the ground as well, but not a huge deal. It works, it still rolls. And again, could just be the way I have them. The trailer itself is very light. It's mostly unpainted, which I know is a big issue people had with it. They're hoping to have this thing slathered in silver paint, which, while that would look amazing, I don't see that being in the budget. This isn't a Masterpiece toy. It's got a little fold-down stand, kind of like the Masterpiece toy, so you can make it stand up on its own. It just looks very nice. Some people point out it's a little small, which I think they're right. Realistically, compared to the length of the cab, it probably is too short. But they did have to make something that stayed within budget and fit in a leader class box. So I think it's close enough to me. I don't think it's the end of the world. Oops, and I'm dropping it. These wheels, they're just screwed on there. They don't fold in or anything. They're just stuck there. This is where you would plug in the ion blaster if you want to store it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So the instructions had it like this, I believe. Yeah. Best way to kind of hide it away. So you can choose to do that if you want. Makes it less visible overall, except from that side. Yeah, no, I don't like it. I like keeping it in the back of the cab. But you might have a different preference. Overall, just for what it is, a recreation of his original vehicle mode, I think this serves very well. And here he is, along with what I consider to be the big kahuna of Optimus Prime toys. This is MP10 Optimus Prime. It's the second Masterpiece Optimus that was made. To me, I think this is the epitome of, G1 Optimus Prime toys. There's the newer one, the MP44, which, in addition to being prohibitively expensive at about $450, which is almost 3 times what this guy costs, I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly. They've gone really hardcore into the cartoon aesthetic, which, not only is that not really my preference, but I feel like they sacrifice a lot doing that. They come up with these incredibly complex transformations that usually involve a lot of fake parts and stuff. And I think it's so unnecessary, drives the cost up, and it usually leads to not such a great looking robot mode. I mean, just look at the new Masterpiece Bumblebee as an example. That thing is a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. So to me, this is the last great MP Optimus. And can't change my mind on that. So I just want to show you, how they compare. This was about a $160 toy, though admittedly that was a decade ago, so I'm not sure what it would cost now. This is a $50 toy in today's market. And you can see they both do a pretty good job of capturing everything they need to capture in the look. The MP1 overall is going to be better. Here's that tons of silver paint. That's just sprayed all over the trailer, and that's what fans were kind of hoping for. I am disappointed that they didn't at least get that white in there between the stripes on this guy. Seeing them, in comparison to each other, it's a little jarring. And, maybe does point out how underwhelming the trailer is, at least when it comes to a paint job. Sculpting, though, it's pretty spot on. I mean, you get like a little circle detail here, you get that little pill-shaped detail, if you can see that. And most of it's really, really good. For some reason, the Autobot symbol is further up on this one than on there. Can't remember which one's more accurate to the original toy, but yeah, it's a good effort. And if you want to spend a fraction of the price, or you're just not into collecting MPs, what it is, this guy makes for a very suitable replacement for the truck mode. All right, here we have our new Optimus with the OGest of OPs. Get it? The Generation 1 Optimus Prime, or in this case, the new vintage reissue, just to see how they compare. And see, the proportions are obviously different between the two, but they do have the same overall look. Bumper shape's a bit different. This one's a little more angular, a little thinner. This one's kind of blockier. But again, they get the same overall beats down. Turn to the side here. You can see, one thing I noticed that this, I don't know, what are these, shocks, tanks? I never really knew, I'm not a truck expert. But these cylinders are much further up on this toy than they are on the old one, and really most of them. And I guess that was just kind of a sacrifice that they made for this toy. So I guess the one ding I'll give it on the accuracy is that this is way too far up. I don't know if it could be helped or not, but it is there. But again, same overall beats. Window shapes are a bit different, but that's fine. Backside, this guy wins out. His is actually filled in on the back, whereas his is not. The old Optimus manages to have the end of his cab be much lower to the ground and more realistic than this guy, but this has been a common problem for just about every Optimus Prime toy, having this kind of bloated back section on the cab because of his legs. Because, to give him realistic looking legs, you have to make this fatter, otherwise you get the little spindly ones that the OG Optimus Prime has. Now, of course, we got to do Siege because this is the Optimus Prime that was released most recently, next to our new guy here. And it was, for a lot of people, what they consider oh, this is my last Optimus Prime, I'm done collecting now, he's just so good. Aside from the vehicle mode, super accurate. And you can imagine a lot of those people were a bit peeved when Hasbro was like, hey look, a year later, a much more accurate one to your G1 collection or obsession, dare I say. So I can understand why people might be a little testy on that one. But you can see there are obvious differences because this truck cab is much more stylized to be sort of an alien craft. So, I mean, the front of the trucks are completely different, all that's different, Are the wheels the same? None of the wheels are the same. Again, I think this panel, are they the same? Yeah, another same panel right here. Other than that, I think the main part of the cab is all different. Get to the legs. Yeah, see, the main body of the legs is the same. And like I said, because his transformation involves turning his legs around 180 at the knee, his don't, which is why you end up with the holes on the outside here instead of on the inside. Because this becomes Siege Prime's trailer hitch or weapon storage. This guy has his own. But the leg transformation with the wheels and everything is completely different. All this is very, very different on the inside. And I think the feet are the same. So I wouldn't go so far as to call Earthrise Optimus a retool of Siege because most of the parts are new, but I'd say there's a pretty generous bit of part sharing going on there, which is fine. They kept what worked, got rid of what didn't. I think it's a better example of part sharing than, say, Metroplex and Fort Max from Generations and Titan's Return, respectively. Now, because I'm determined to make this review as belligerent as possible, we're going to play a little game called Does It Fit? And we're going to see if Earthrise Prime's trailer fits any of these other G1 based Optimus Primes. So, let's go with the most based G1 Prime, the G1 Prime, and not even close. Instead of having a hole, he actually has a peg, so assuming his original trailer had a hole for that peg. So yeah, that is not gonna fly. Big hard no right there. Siege Optimus. Go ahead, plug it in here, and his hole is a little further up than on the Earthrise one, but it does fit. It's a tighter fit. It does fit in there. Has a little bit of clearance issues, kind of grinding past right here, but it does work. It can swivel just fine. Can swing about the same radius as on Earthrise. Kind of prevents these wheels from contacting because it's a little thicker, but it's fine. It's all right. It's a very suitable setup, I think. Let's go back in time a bit to Classics Optimus Prime, and nope, there's no hole for connection. Though, never really noticed this before, there's kind of this little square clip thing that I do wonder if that's related to the scrapped plan for a trailer they had for this guy, and it would just kind of sock it in like that. Not too dissimilar from the G1 Prime. So, interesting thing to look at, but hard no. How about Combiner Wars? It's got some peg holes, right? Maybe this will work, huh? Nope, doesn't work. Because they have these little indents molded into them that, help keep his weapon secure, but unfortunately make these holes not fit a full 5mm peg, so he cannot use this trailer. Oh well. Let's look at a different continuity, and this is Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, who has a very G1 look. And let's see, he's got a 5mm hole, so what happens? Oh, tight fit, does it work? It works. Swings pretty well. All the wheels make contact this time, at least on the trailer. So yeah, if you want to recreate that last scene from the Bumblebee movie, you totally can, because the trailer using that was pretty much this. Let's get a little more out there, and this is Studio Series, was it 5 Optimus Prime? The first one. Does he work? Yep, he works. Kind of has the same issue with Siege, is that he's a little bit thicker, so this wheel here doesn't quite contact the ground, but it looks good enough. He gets a heck of a swing. Go all over the place. Kind of more like a real semi-truck, because they can really get some pivot on there. So he works. And then lastly, we'll see his retool, who is the second Studio Series Optimus Prime. And naturally, he works just as well. His connection's actually a little bit looser, so you get an easier swing on him. The hole's a little bit wider for some reason, which is something I noticed on the Dark of the Moon Primes review from Studio Series. So yeah, out of pretty much all the modern post-Unicron trilogy Optimus Primes, most of them can use the trailer, so that's awesome. Well, now it's transformation time for old Optimus Prime. And I didn't mean that to rhyme. That either. Anywho, all right, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna fold these in like that, get them out of the way. Then we're gonna go ahead, open these little side panels up here, like so. We're gonna open these up as well, get them off. And I got 2 more panels to open, here and here on the side. Now we can pull his arms out in a very familiar fashion to most Optimus Prime toys out there, or G1 Optimus Primes anyway. All right, so we got him looking like this. We're gonna open this back section up, flip his head out, put that back in. Now you got Tubby Optimus. But wait, there's more. You're gonna flip this whole thing back, like so, and flip it out again. All right, so you take these window panels here, fold them all the way in, fold these panels all the way in. You're gonna fold this guy all the way down like that, fold it in again, just kind of collapse it down into the torso. Then pull this all the way down. Get the upper half of his torso to peg into the abs. Let's go ahead, separate his legs, bring them down. Then you're going to rotate him at the waist like so. Now, these bits of his sides here have to fold out. Tab in. Bring this up. Fold the wheels in. Oh, I'm not sure how that got untabbed, but there you go. Like so. All right, now let's open his feet up. Flip the little knee pad things down. You can see the trailer hitch splits open here. Now, again, this has all been pretty much gutted from the Siege Optimus toy, replaced with a much simpler design, and I'm not entirely sure why. Why fix something that's not broken, but oh well. He's gonna be stuck with the wheels on the outside of his legs, so it's gonna be more toy accurate, but not as impressive from an engineering stance. So yeah, he actually has forearm panels. Look at that. That's something you do not see much every day. Where you have a panel that, hides a little hole where his fist folds into. But he's got them because he's fancy. And here he is. This is Earthrise Optimus Prime in his robot mode. And he's very dynamic looking. He looks like an actual, action figure. He's fully posable. He's got the head on a ball joint, hinge and swivel shoulders, bicep swivel, single bend elbows, wrist swivel, opening fingers, which is not something you see on a smaller scale toy like this. Got all that. He does have a full waist swivel, but it's impeded by this wheel kibble here. So he can only turn really, as much as a human being can naturally turn, so not too bad. Hinge and swivel hips, thigh swivel up top, single bend knees, ankle tilt right there. Yeah, he's got everything, whole shebang, which, for $50, it's the least they could do, I suppose. Let's go ahead and give him his gun, ion blaster. So it's folded up like this, right? You just fold it all the way down, like so. You're plugging his hand. Now, even though his hand's open, there's still a mostly 5mm hole you gotta put this into, and it's kind of a tight fit, which I'm not crazy about because the insides of his hands are painted. I'm worried about scratching that paint off over time. There you go, classic ion blaster. I'm not crazy about the big old gray post sticking out, but yeah, it's all right. So yeah, look at him. He is very dynamic looking. Paint and plastic colors are, again, just gorgeous. And he's not done revealing his secrets yet. You see, this guy right here, you can pry open his chest. He's got his matrix in there. It's fully painted, very nice looking, and it does come out fairly easily too. Some matrices are kind of a pain to get out, but his works. His is good. Got a full little matrix chamber. Inside's painted black there, so that's neat. You can hold it open, shut it if you want to. And like I said, his hands, they can open so that he can actually wield this thing. His chest is a little too wide to hold out in front of him, but he can hold it above his head, which is pretty cool. Looks like he's about to pull it apart and activate it. But yeah, there you go. Optimus lighting our darkest hour. And man, does that look cool. For a retail figure, this is pretty impressive. Very dynamic looking. All right, let's go ahead and transform the trailer now. It's gonna be very simple. Just take it up top, split the halves open, and we'll do the lying down configuration first. So swing that down for support. Get it open like that. And this little guy unfolds a few different ways. There's a little diagnostic drone. These cute little arms. So cute. And there you go. There's his kind of mobile repair bay. That can be used, for Optimus, for any of his teammates, Micromasters, what have you. So, if you want, you go ahead, lay him down here, let his little robot work on him, do what it's got to do, take care of him, Or if you prefer the standing up position, we can go ahead, shut that, do this, and have it go like so. And then yet again, you can go ahead, put Optimus on here, you give it as a robot, do what it's got to do repairs, whatever it has to make sure he's in prime fighting condition. Now, some things I want to note about this that are interesting. You'll see there's a whole bunch of 5mm ports here. So this is obviously meant to be used as part of the base system, and just got places where you can connect things, whether it be armaments or what have you. And just, pretty useful. I don't like that this thing is in gray. It's completely unpainted. It's normally blue, and it should have like a black cockpit or something, so they just decided, no, we're not painting any of this, which is a shame. I mean, they could have at least done this. I get not covering the whole trailer in silver, but come on, man, this little guy needs some love. I also noticed he's got two of these little claw hand things, which normally there's only the one, and then there's like a little radar dish or something on the other side, but they decided to be a bit different, and that's on them for creative license. And then, of course, this thing has one more trick up its sleeve. We saw in the instructions that this can be used to augment Optimus. So you just disconnect this thing right here. Go ahead and remove the shield piece. It just kind of slides right out of there. Set these aside. You can go ahead and give Optimus a nice little shield. It's not very big, but it serves. Better than nothing, right? And this thing can plug into the hole in his back. Kind of like a weaponizer or modulator. And I mean, I'm not sure what purpose this serves. It kind of reminds me of Brunt and Zaytar's like serpentine configuration. You got the claws coming out of the back, except these are way smaller, not very useful. So it's cool that they have that, kind of cross-play and that compatibility. I just not sure what practical purpose this thing would serve. Maybe, if he's in close quarters combat, he could grab an opponent with it, I suppose. But a little weird. Weird's fine. Weird's fun. So yeah, here's like our fully armed Optimus Prime. And again, it's not vital to have these accessories and not have them. It's just extra little bit of fun you get. I want to do a quick comparison with the Masterpiece Prime's trailer, just so you can see how much simpler this one is by comparison. Again, doesn't make it bad, but a lot was lost in the downsizing of the design, which is a shame. Again, I really wish there was more paint on this thing, especially on that little drone unit. Kind of kills me they just left it gray like that. And to have even more fun, here is our trailer hooked up to all of the current Earthrise things that are compatible with it. And I am including Astro Train here, even though mine is the Siege version, just because he is technically a part of this toy line too. And yeah, this is pretty much the whole first wave as far as, what can build into a Micromaster city. And it's cool. Using Ironworks as a central hub doesn't give me a lot of options for placement because he's only one guy, but as this toy line fleshes out and expands, hopefully get something really impressive going. And no, I wasn't going to break out Omega for this one because it's late and I'm tired. So that's not happening tonight. All right, time to start some comparisons for the robot modes. We're going to kick it off with the figure that this guy looks most like, and that's, again, MP10. And you can see the main difference between these two, aside from small detailings, are just the proportions. Earthrise Optimus is very leggy, and it doesn't help that his waist hinge is up here, or the waist swivel is all the way up here. So it makes it look like he has very long legs and a very squat torso. And then MP10 is kind of the opposite. He actually has fairly short legs and a rather long torso and very long arms, which gives him almost gorilla-like proportions, which is really my only criticism of MP10 is the proportions are a bit wonky, I suppose. But overall, these two look like very, very good representations of the character at different scales. And they're both following the aesthetic of being a mix between Optimus's toy details and his cartoon details. You know, they have the blue eyes like the cartoon. They have some of the detailing, especially in like the kind of crotch area. This one's actually missing the little yellow stripes and arrows on the forearms, which is surprising. But they also have more toy-like details too. Between, the gray coloration, the fact that they have wheels on the sides of their legs, though admittedly MP10 does cover his a bit. But they are there. They don't just disappear completely. His are just out there for the world to see. So they both hit my favorite kind of aesthetic, is taking, what's considered the best of both worlds. The details that work for one, work for a different interpretation, and just kind of combine them. In my humble opinion, that's the best way to go when creating like a definitive version of a character, which is why I don't collect MP really anymore, because they completely abandoned this aesthetic and went with pure cartoon accuracy to the nth degree. But I'll stop because that's a rant for another time. Here's our new toy with OG Optimus again. And you can see there's a whole lot that's been updated as far as, just the aesthetic quality, the engineering, all that. You gotta give it to this guy for starting it all, but at the end of the day, you can see right through his back. His proportions are really weird. Much more gorilla-like than the MPs. His hands go way down below his kneecaps. Now, the one detail I still really, really wish they would have carried over from the original toy is the yellow eyes. I always liked the yellow eyes on Optimus. I thought they really set him apart. And personally, I think it's a shame they didn't keep it. I don't know why the change was made. I don't know if focus testing determined that just wasn't going to fly for most people, or what happened. But, what could have been, right? Now, of course, we've got to do a comparison with Siege. These are almost brother figures in a way. And to me, aside from, the kibble and things like that, the biggest difference between these two really comes down to proportions. I already mentioned how this guy has a very short torso, very long legs. I always found Siege Optimus to be much more balanced. He strikes, I think, a much more heroic presence as far as his physique and everything. I like the fact that his kind of like crotch piece is one solid piece like it's usually depicted, instead of being separated into threes like this, and having these sides move with the legs and stuff. I'm not crazy about that choice. It's kind of up to you, to pick and choose what you prefer about them. I think Siege Optimus succeeds with proportions, with the fact that he can hide the wheels away a lot better. They're not as out there. And I also like the fact that his windshield chest isn't quite as far out off of his abs as this one's is. It looks better. But then you gotta consider Earthrise. If you want the G1 Prime, he's much more accurate to that. He doesn't have any alien features going on. He's got the hands that open and close. He does have the removable matrix, which is a huge plus. And of course, you want the total package, he's got the trailer. So I think they're both good in their own right. I'm still one of those people that were kind of annoyed that they created this just almost G1 Optimus and Siege, and then just followed it up with an even more G1 Optimus. It's like, look, if you were going to do that, you had plans to make an Earth mode Optimus Prime. This guy should have been much more alien looking. He should have given us something a little more unique, but that's all bridge under the water at this point. Here's Bumblebee movie Optimus, if you want something a little more realistic looking. I know a lot of people have bought this guy as their go-to G1 Optimus Prime, and obviously the influence is there. I'm not going to say one of these is better than the other. It just kind of depends on personal taste. If you want something more like the original design, he's going to win out. If you want something that looks like a real-life object, like something that could actually be made out of metal parts and all that, this one might suit your taste a little more. All right, this comparison I'm mainly just doing because I already had the toy out. Here's Combiner Wars Optimus, which is, takes a lot of artistic liberties with the design, but he has a much bulkier, more bruiser type version. And now, just to show you how far we've come in all these years, this is the very first Chug Optimus Prime. Classics was the one that started the whole Neo G1 thing, and this was the first Optimus we got out of that. And again, very stylized. He isn't meant to be a replica of the original toy, but for many, many years, this was considered people's quintessential Optimus Prime. This is what they considered their Optimus. Even though he was so stylized, even though he didn't come with a trailer, people really held fast to this guy. And I just think it's interesting because, after all these years, we get something that's much more in line with what people would see as like their perfect Prime. It is interesting that these two are almost the exact same height. I mean, it is really close. I can't even tell. They might be the exact same height. So that's kind of neat. War for Cybertron gets a lot of flack for their figures being too small, but these two are pretty close. All right, so I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this review. Covered a lot of ground here, showed off all of Optimus's different modes, did a ton of comparisons and group shots, and I think you'll get the gist of just what this toy is all about. This is a figure that was made for people that have just been wanting that perfect G1 Prime update. Now, is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. And where he falls flat is pretty much things that have been omitted. Whether that's paint applications, especially on the trailer section, the fact that roller is not included with this at all. He comes like 90% of the way of being just a direct part-for-part update of the original Optimus Prime, except, again, he's missing roller, and they left a lot of his accessories very unfinished looking. So, he's not perfect. But boy, is he the closest we've ever gotten by a long shot. I mean, the last time a Chug Optimus had a trailer, like an actual detachable trailer, was the Power of the Primes one. But that was, pretty flawed because the trailer wasn't a battle station for him. That actually pretty much was his body. It allowed him to go from, Orion to Optimus Prime. So I'm not going to count that. I will say, I love the engineering that went into this toy. You can tell they're really paying attention. They took a lot of inspiration from, you got MP10. You can see they took the whole idea of the folding ion blaster and ran with that. And I think it's executed a little bit better here because his gun's a little more proportional to him than MP10's is. Doesn't actually store inside of his back like the Masterpiece toy, but that's fine. I don't want him to have a giant backpack capable of doing that anyway. He obviously took some inspiration from Siege, seeing how he uses parts from Siege. And then he even gets some cues from the Bumblebee movie character, the Studio Series toy, especially with the wheels like folding up against his back and all that. So again, he's just the culmination of many years of work, of them trying things, testing things out, and then seeing what works best. Again, there are some changes they made from the Siege version that I would have preferred they not, especially when it comes to like this area right here. But it's small stuff to me. It's not that big a deal. I think this guy is fantastic. He feels much more worth the $50 price tag than some of the other leaders we've had so far in War for Cybertron, especially when it comes to characters like Shockwave and Astro Train. I just felt like for the extras they were given, they weren't worth all that much. But this guy's got his whole trailer, battle station repair bay thing, so it's kind of on a whole nother level. And, he was one of the last Earthrise toys I got for the first wave. He was one of the hardest to track down. I ended up getting him off of Pulse. But I'm really happy I finally got this thing. I've been just chomping at the bit trying to get one since they first revealed it. And I honestly can't remember the last time I've been this pleased with an Optimus Prime toy. So they did something right. He's not perfect, but he is close. Though naturally, that is my take on him. What I really want to know is what you all think of this new Optimus. Is he the update you've been waiting for? Do his qualities outshine his flaws, or is he missing too much for you to consider this a proper update? I can't wait to see your comments in the comments section. If you enjoyed this, admittedly lengthy review, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that this is the kind of stuff that you want to see from me, so I know to keep on making it. If you do want to see more of my reviews or any of my other content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the Neo G1 Optimus Prime from Earthrise. And with all that said, I will see you next time.